Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media accounts. Also, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. With that said, looking at the economic calendar for the week, I don't see much. I do see Powell scheduled at, Wednesday. Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's see what it actually says. Participate in a panel discussion titled Debate of the Global Economy at the spring meetings of the International Monetary Fund and World Bank Group in Washington, D.C. So anytime he speaks, the market's probably going to react. So this week we'll be watching both directions. We still have inflation. We still have FOMC coming up in the next couple of weeks. Inflation's high. The war with Russia-Ukraine is escalating again. A lot of unknown variables are still out there. The market could instantly change based on news events. So with that said, I'm going to look at, let me just take a quick peek at, I think I already looked at, let's see, this put to call ratio. I checked it just a couple of days ago, I think. Yeah, it's really in the middle. It's not really high on either direction, but I want to look at Vicks before. Yeah, Vicks is, it popped and it's starting to retrace back. It did have a green day on Thursday, but it's right at the 20 EMA, which is the middle Keltner channel line on the daily, so it could reject. And on the weekly, it's a red candle on the weekly, rejecting the RCT trend line and the 20 EMA on the weekly. Make a note of that. But SPY, on the other hand, is right at the RCT trend line on the daily, so it is holding a support right now, but I'll be watching it on both sides. A lot of the tickers I'm going to mention, I'm going to be watching from both directions because of the uncertainty around, and all it takes is just one news event and everything can fall apart or break out or whatever. But things in Russia and Ukraine are starting to escalate again, so I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we see things start to drop this week, but I could be wrong, and that's why you need to be in the room. The gap, hopefully there won't be any massive gap up and gap downs, because I really don't like those, because it changes the dynamic of the play and the levels. And if it gaps up huge, I don't really like buying calls after a massive gap up, because it always feels trappy. But anyways, I'll be watching it underneath the 437, 436 area. If it does break below that, it's got some airspeed to come down here into 430, the 425, 420 area. But I'll also be watching it over the let's say 441 for a push to the 445. Then you got 450, 455, 460. So earnings season is coming up, so the market could start looking at that as a positive. A lot of the stocks could start making earnings runs, because a lot of them are going to start reporting in the next week or two, like Netflix, I get on the list, and Tesla and Microsoft and stuff like that. So they end up starting to run into earnings most of the time, but we'll have to see if they will or not, because just because they usually do doesn't mean they won't. I've been expecting Netflix to have a run for the last 2 weeks into earnings, and it's just not having it. So it had a couple of green days here and there, but we'll get to that. But yeah, watching SPY in both directions. Now the next one is, since we're talking about Netflix, we'll just jump to Netflix right now. As you can see, Netflix had one green day Wednesday. It just didn't go anywhere. These stocks that used to be very strong just are not. So many of the tech stocks are just not doing well. But one thing I do want to point out is that you do have inverted head and shoulders right here. You get the left, the head, and the right shoulder right here on Netflix. Netflix usually has a run up in their earnings, but it's not having it. But I would watch it over 343, 345 for push to 350, 355, 360, 365, 370, 375, 380. Now, when Netflix has a strong green day, it can move 40 points fairly easily. So don't underestimate that, because this is what, 398 to 427. This is almost a 30-point day just in one green candle. So Netflix gets any momentum behind it, you could definitely see a 30, 40-point move on Netflix. So with earnings coming up the next couple of weeks, it's quite possible. So with that said, we'll move on to Microsoft. Microsoft just he gets into this under 280 level. It likes to bounce. It's bounced here, 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 and here. So yeah, it could go lower, but I'm kind of watching it over the 280 level. I'd watch over 283 for a push to 288, 290. You get gap resistance right here at 292. Then you get the gap fill 295 to 300. It doesn't usually like to stay under 300 that long. 280 has just been the sweet spot on Microsoft. So I'll definitely watch Microsoft for a bounce and for a push to 300 again. So as you can see on the weekly, it likes to bounce right here. So that's one reason I'm watching that very closely. And Nvidia is another one I'll be watching. Same thing, it gets into this area, this 210 area, and it likes to bounce. So it bounced here, 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 and here. And this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the sixth, actually 7, 8, ninth time if you would count these right here. So yeah, it could go lower, but I'm not interested if it goes lower. I'll be watching it over 220. Yeah, over 220 for a push to 230, 240. 230, 240, 250. Get a gap fill right here. Kind of filled the gap pretty close right here. Not quite. You get a little bit right here, a few dollars, but you can fill that. Then you get a gap resistance up here at the 252 area, 250 area. So definitely be watching Nvidia. SPY I already covered. CAT is one that you look at it and you think, okay, this is probably going to reject, and it probably could. The hourly is getting pretty extended, but CAT, look at the weekly. It's right at the RCT trend line. It rejected here, came back up quickly. It could possibly end up breaking out. So if it does end up getting over 230, it's probably going to end up making a breakout and end up making a run to all-time high, which is around 246-ish, well, 246.69. So it does break 430. It's going to probably end up going to 240, 245 pretty quickly. But it's extended on the hourly. Look at the RSI. It's in the 70s. But CAT, anytime it gets to right here, you can see it breaks out and it just makes a strong move. They get this big strong green candle right here, and it's got continuation the next day. And so that's what I'm anticipating on CAT, that it will break to 230, have a little bit of continuation on CAT. So I'll be watching that. Oh, I have Microsoft on my list twice. I don't know why I did that. But anyways, now I did cover Netflix already. So Tesla is the other one. Now Tesla, I'm kind of watching this on the short side. It gets underneath this, let's see, this 977 area. It's probably going to end up breaking down. You get the RCT trend line right down here at the 915. So under 977, it's going to end up going to 950, then down here to the 920, 915 area. So most likely we'll retest the RCT trend line at some point. Whether it's this week or not, we'll have to find out. So Tesla is one I'll be watching. Plus, if Elon does anything crazy, because he's obviously, everyone knows he's trying to buy Twitter, and who knows what's going to happen with that, if it's going to end up putting more money out or shelling more money out, or whatever. The drama in that could end up making Tesla sell off a little bit. So definitely would keep an eye on that. Now, one of the things I want to look at is Facebook. I really thought it was going to have a good run right here, but it's been pulling back the last week and a half. So I would like to see Facebook bounce over let's see, 215. 215 is right here. So I will watch Facebook if it does get over 215, or push to 220, 225, 230, 235. So I usually watch the same tickers over and over and over. That's why I end up knowing them so well, and Baba just can't seem to get out of the way. I don't really. I like when Baba has these big gap ups and the sell off, but yeah, Facebook, Apple. I don't usually play Apple that much. It did have a nasty red day though on Friday. So, but earnings is going to come up, so it could have a nice earnings run up on Apple too. So, even though it's been selling off into the last earnings, so maybe they're not going to be so confident this earnings season is going to be kind of tricky because inflation, people raising prices and stuff like that. So we'll have to see what this earnings does. So that's the only thing the market has positive going in this direction is earnings season. Again, the market loves to rise on hopium, and right now earnings is the only thing that is positive for the market, or it's going to try to spin it positive because we get FOMC coming up, I think in the end of April, 1st of May. I think literally in the next week or two is FOMC, and they're going to raise rates, or think they are. So that could end up put a damper on any momentum that we have. But plus you have the Ukraine and Russia situation that could end up killing earnings season. So yeah, it's a lot of drama out there, a lot of things happening. That's why you need to be in the room day by day. It's better just to day trade the action because any news event can change the dynamics of the play in a heartbeat. So that's why you need to be in the room, and that's going to do it for the watch list, and hope to see you in the room. So thank you for watching.